Okay, so get your homework out from yesterday. Let's go through a couple. I'm just going to pick a couple, like one from each little section, hopefully to help you if you struggled with this. So 22 says evaluate without using a calculator. And it says the secant of pi thirds. So when they ask you to find a trig function without a calculator, it means it's from either our 30, 60, 90 triangle or our 45, 45, 90 triangle. So the first thing that I would do is make sure you know what pi thirds is in degrees, which you could take 180 divided by pi, 180 divided by 3. That's the same as secant of 60 degrees, which means this is not the answer, right? That's just changing it to degrees. It means without a calculator, I expect that you can use the 30, 60, 90 triangle. And again, I'm going to use ones instead of x's now because we know the x's are always going to cancel out. And I know that that simplifies like the ratios. If the shortest side is 1, the longest side is 2, and then the other side will be the 1 times square root of 3, or just square root of 3. And then you just do the secant of that, or you could do the cosine of that and then flip it over. But remember that secant is hypotenuse over adjacent. So of 60 degrees, the hypotenuse would be 2, the adjacent would be 1, which means the answer there is 2. So on 20, 22, and 24, you're just figuring out what angle am I in and what does my triangle look like to find those values. Going over to 42, that's like the second stuff that we did on the notes yesterday. 42's directions say, find the acute angle that satisfies the given equation. Give theta in both degrees and radians. You should do these without a calculator. And it says the sine of theta equals the square root of 3 over 2. And again, when I see that, and I know that sine is opposite over hypotenuse, I know that I'm again in a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And so I know that's 1, 2, square root of 3. So I just have to figure out, is 30 degrees sine radical 3 over 2, or is 60 degrees? Basically, which one of those angles has an opposite side of the square root of 3? And if I look at 60 degrees, and I go over to the opposite side, it is the square root of 3. The hypotenuse is 2. So again, I can say I know that the answer is 60 degrees, which happens to be the same thing that we just talked about on 22. But 60 degrees in radians, that would be pi thirds. And you're supposed to give me both of those answers. So that's what you should have been doing on 42 and 45 and 48. And then the rest of those were solving triangles, story problems, find the missing sides. I thought I would look at 62, which is the story problem there about the tree. And if you have questions on other ones, please talk to each other and see if you can figure those out. And if not, we can talk about them tomorrow. But if you look at 62, 62 says, Kirsten places her surveyor's telescope on top of a tripod 5 feet above the ground. She measures an 8-degree elevation above the horizontal to the top of the tree that is 120 feet away. How tall is the tree? Notice you can see the picture that they give you there. Like you have the telescope. So here's the lovely tree. I know my drawing is great. And her telescope's over here. And it measures over as 120 feet. And it says that she measures the 8-degree elevation to the top of the tree. So from here to here is like 8 degrees. So like you can see that here's our triangle. But then it also tells us that her tripod for her telescope is 5 feet off the ground. So we'll see if that comes into play. But I think at first we got to find this area right here, right? So if I change the color there. So this I'm going to call my height. So again, if I use 8 degrees, the side I'm looking for across from it would be the opposite. And the side that I know down here would be the adjacent. So, trig function, opposite over adjacent, I could set up that the tangent of 8 degrees is h over 120. And then I want to make sure that I'm in degree mode on my calculator when I'm multiplying 120 over. I'm just typing that in on my calculator, and I get 16.86 feet. But that's not how tall the tree is, because we have this 5 feet here that is the height of the telescope. So does it make sense that we'll just add that 5 feet to that and get that the tree is 21.86 feet? Okay? Okay, so what I have for you is I have a worksheet that's front and back that's very similar to part what we did on the 4-1 worksheet. And then I also have a handout about what's on the calculator part and on the no calculator part. And I even tried to mark the stuff on the worksheet, like this is without a calculator, to make sure you know to do that. I also have your graded worksheets. Oh, sorry. I have your graded worksheets that I have with the sub, and either the sub can pass them out or someone can, the sub can give that to someone to pass out. Make sure you look at those. Check mark means it was graded. Check mark means it was graded and it was right. X means it's wrong. Talk to other people if you're not sure why it's marked wrong. And again, we'll talk about some of this tomorrow. The quiz is short, so we'll spend 15, 20 minutes talking about stuff, and then we'll take the quiz. Also, I'll be here in the morning if you have questions. So work on your worksheet, use your time wisely, look at the graded worksheet, and make sure you study for that quiz tomorrow.